A very good evening to one and all present here. The principle of the common heritage of mankind stands as one of the most forward looking ideas in international law, reminding us that certain resources, whether in the deep oceans, outer space, or other global commons, belongs not to individual nations but to all humanity. It emphasizes peaceful use, shared benefits, global cooperation, and responsible stewardships of areas that lie beyond national jurisdiction. As our world becomes more interconnected, this principle serves as a moral and legal compass, guiding nations to think beyond borders and to act with fairness for both present and future generations.
However, the evolving dimensions and global challenges surrounding the common heritage of mankind principle call for renewed attention and collective commitment. Rapid technological advancements, commercial exploration of space and seabed resources, environmental pressures, and unequal access to technology have made global governance more complex than ever. These developments challenge us to strengthen international cooperation, ensure equitable resource sharing, and protect fragile global commons. As we gather for this valedictory function, it is timely to reflect on how the heritage of mankind principle can inspire global responsibility and shape a more just, sustainable, and inclusive future for all.
Today, we are all gathered here in this virtual platform for the 27th International Seminar on the Principles of Common Heritage of Mankind in International Law, Evolving Dimensions and Global Challenges, conducted by Kerala Law Academy Law College in association with Center for Advanced Legal Studies and Research Culture and IQAC KLA.
Needless to say, the Kerala Law Academy consistently leads the way in revealing new insights into the evolving approach to education using cutting edge teaching methods designed to meet the demands of our ever changing world. The instructors here are highly skilled in their fields. With this 27th International Seminar, we are reaching yet another milestone in the realm of law.
To mark the beginning of this valedictory function, I take the privilege of inviting Ms. Aparna Ma'am, Assistant Professor, the Kerala Law Academy Law College. Ma'am has always been a dedicated teacher guiding students with care and commitment, and we are truly glad to have you with us today, ma'am. And now, with great pleasure, I invite Ms. Aparna Ma'am to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Esteemed Professor Stephanie Wolfing de Joxman, University Paris Plus 19 France, Professor Dr. V. Balaji Sir, Dean and HOD, Department of Maritime Law, Tamil Nadu, Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai, Advocate Nagaraj Naran Sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College, Professor Anil Kumar Key Sir, Director of Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, Kerala Law Academy Law College, respected faculty members, distinguished guests, participants, and members of the legal fraternity. A very warm good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure and pride to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to the valedictory session of the 27th Virtual International Seminar on the Principles of Common Heritage of Mankind in International Law, Evolving Dimensions and Global Challenges, organized by the Kerala Law Academy Law College in association with Culture and IQAC KLA. The principle of common heritage of mankind is a cornerstone of international law, emphasizing that certain global concerns, such as deep seabed, outer space, and cultural heritage, belong to all humanity collectively, beyond the sovereignty of individual states. Rooted in the ideas of equity, shared responsibility, and intergenerational justice, the principle continues to evolve in response to emerging global challenges. So we are truly honored by the presence of two eminent personalities whose distinguished contributions in the field of respective field lend great prestige to this occasion. It is our privilege to welcome Professor Stephanie Rolfing de Joux, ma'am, from University Paris Plus 19, France. Ma'am is a distinguished legal scholar with expertise in competition law, consumer protection, commercial law, intellectual property, and end-of-life legislation, and has held prominent academic positions across Europe and Mauritius. Ma'am has made a significant contributions in the legal field through numerous publications and had played a key role in organizing international seminars, workshops, and student exchange programs, fostering comparative and international legal collaboration. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, ma'am, and it is my pleasure to welcome Professor Stephanie Rolfing-de-Jokes, ma'am, to this session. We are equally privileged to welcome Professor Dr. V. Balaji, sir, Dean and Head of the PG Department of Maritime Law, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai, who will be delivering the presidential address today. Sir brings 19 years of experience in teaching, research, and administration and has guided 7 PhD scholars. Sir holds a doctorate in human rights from the University of Madras. Sir has served in notable roles such as Registrar in Charge, Syndicate Member, Controller of Examinations, and Director of UG, PG, and Distant Education Programs. Sir also served as Project Director for the Chair on Consumer Law and Jurisprudence, funded by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Sir has presented his research in UK, USA, and Malaysia, and is a recipient of the UGC Research Award. He is also a life member of the Indian Society of International Law and a member of the Asian Society of International Law. Sir, we are truly honored to have you with us and thank you for gracing this event with your esteemed presence. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Advocate Nagaraj Naran, sir, Director of Kerala Law Academy, whose vision and constant encouragement continue to guide every endeavor of this institution. Sir, we are truly honored by your presence today. Next, it is my great pleasure to welcome Professor Anilkumar Sir, Director of Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, Kerala Law Academy, Law College. Sir's unwavering commitment to students' growth and the vision for holistic development have been a constant source for inspiration to all of us. I extend a warm welcome to Ms. Arya S. Nair, ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy, Law College, to this occasion. Ma'am is a respected faculty member, known for the dedication to teaching and commitment to nurturing students. We are honored to have you with us today. Next, I would like to welcome our Principal, Professor Harindran K. Sir, Vice Principal, Professor Alkumar G. Sir, Professor Dr. Rajana Nair L. Ma'am, Head of the Department, Dr. Dekshana Saraswati Ma'am, Associate Professor and General Secretary, Moot Court Society, Kerala Law Academy, whose years of dedicated service and academic excellence have greatly contributed to the success of our college. We are honored to have with us today. We also extend a warm welcome to our dedicated faculty conveners, student conveners, and organizing team who have worked with great dedication and teamwork to make this event possible. And finally, we extend a heartfelt welcome to all participants and attendees. Your presence here transforms the seminar into a vibrant forum for learning, collaboration, and professional growth. Once again, on behalf of Kerala Law Academy Law College and my own behalf, I extend a heartfelt welcome to one and all. May this 27th Virtual International Seminar on the Principles of Common Heritage of Mankind in International Law, Evolving Dimensions and Global Challenges be a celebration of knowledge, professionalism, and ethical excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm words of welcome and for setting the tone for this evening session. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to you as well, ma'am. It is our great privilege to welcome Professor Stephanie Rolfing-de-Jokes, ma'am, from University Paris Oise Nanterre, France. She is a distinguished legal scholar with expertise in competition law, consumer protection, commercial law, intellectual property, and end-of-life legislation, and has held prominent academic positions across Europe and Mauritius. Professor Stephanie, ma'am, has made significant contribution to legal scholarship through numerous publications and has played a key role in organizing international seminars, workshops, and student exchange programs, fostering comparative and international legal collaboration. She has also coordinated numerous Erasmus and global student exchange initiatives, mentoring the next generation of legal scholars. Importantly, she has been one of the principal initiators of the international conference. We are deeply honored to have her with us today, and it is my pleasure to invite Professor Stephanie Rolfing-de-Jokes, ma'am, to give the valedictory address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. I'm very honored to be with you today, and I'm very impressed that you have so many participants. It is very difficult to have so many people on a late time in a weekend. So it shows that people are really interested in the topic. So I'm very honored to give today this valedictory address, but it is at the same time a difficult task for me, because you already worked the whole day about the topic, about the common heritage of mankind. And I think everything has been said already. So for me, it's difficult. But I would just like to come back to some points very shortly, maybe from a European perspective of, from European perspective of this topic. And so obviously, I will come back to things that have been said today. I'm sorry for that, but I can't avoid it. So first of all, so your topic is about the common heritage of mankind in international law and global challenges. So it is, one of the main things in this topic are the global commons. So firstly, we have to look at the definition. What are the global commons? So you have different kind of global commons, the outer space, the oceans, the seabed, but also forests, rivers, biodiversity, but also cultural heritage. So all these global commons are affected by environmental issues and especially climate change. So some of them are shared resources without clear ownership. So like outer space, part of the oceans, part of the seabed. Other of them are common heritage of mankind, even if they are the property of some countries. But for all of them, the governance must be collective, and that is a big challenge in this way. So climate change is a global phenomenon. It does not stop at borders, of course. We have it everywhere, and yes, hence there's only a global approach with international and worldwide involvement could be able to show measurable results. Unfortunately, until today, we have not really this measurable results, even if some progress has been made. So various international agreements serve the protection of the Earth's atmosphere and climate protection. They all try to ensure the reasonable use of resources. So the sustainable use of commons like high seas, atmosphere, Arctics. One question also reminds the enforceability of these international agreements protecting global commons and the rules of international law. Therefore, there is still a need for implementation of fundamental principles of environmental protection, such as the duty of care of the state and due diligence in national constitutions. They are missing again in a lot of national constitutions. But already even in domestic climate litigation, the courts pondered the principles of the Paris Agreement in their reasoning, even if it remains soft law. Since the first World Environment Conference that took place more than 30 years ago in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, where the member states adopted the United Nations Framework Convention of Climate Change. Conferences on climate and environment protection, the COPs, have taken place since 1995, nearly every year, except the COVID years. In December 2015, the contracting parties of the Framework Convention set out with the Paris Agreement a global framework to avoid climate change by global warming. This agreement is the most important international convention of the last years in the field of climate protection. I think you talked already about it today, because it's not only creating climate policy objectives, but a concrete obligation for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions of every member state. 195 states out of 197 adopted the Paris Agreement and 189 states ratified it until now. The Paris Agreement entered into force in 2016. Unfortunately, no significant progress had been made since then. Following the Paris Agreement, member states have to adopt two types of measure to combat climate change. Anticipatory measures with the aim of a limitation of degradation of climate change and adaptation and mitigation measures with the objective of containment of effects of climate change. The Paris Agreement is a keystone for collective efforts to limit global warming and to avoid catastrophic harm, especially for developing countries. But it remains soft law, and especially in times of multiple geopolitical crises, like unfortunately today wars in Europe, in Middle East, and the crisis with the United States, many countries do not implement it. So we are more stepping back than forwards in this aim of climate change. The Paris Agreement is divided into separate parts. Firstly, the adoption of national determined contributions, NDCs, and intended national determined contribution, INDCs, with the aim to a limitation of global warming in the next decades. And secondly, in the annex, what is also very important, measures of adaptation and mitigation and loss and damages concerning the cost of climate change. The obligations of states to stipulate NDCs and INDCs for the limitation of warming on less than 2 degrees and if possible less than 1.5 degrees is in the core of the PA, but unfortunately until today this aim was not reached. 10 years after the Paris Agreement, the 13th conference of the COP of the parties in the COP30 to the United Nations framework from 10 to 21 November this year, so just some weeks ago in Belém in Brazil. The outcome of this conference was very low. The current geopolitical context makes any progress in the climate and environmental field particularly difficult. But how do global commons exacerbate inequality? Climate change impacts are uneven. Poorer countries are more exposed. Richer countries contribute more to emissions. Exploitation of commons, like oceans, forests, have often benefits for powerful actors. So how should the cost and burdens of climate mitigation be distributed? One of the largest disputes at the Brazil summit, so really very recently, was who should pay for climate action and help developing nations to prepare for and adapt to unavoidable impacts of global warming. And here some progress was made. Wealthier nations committed to tripling the amount of money they provide to help low-income countries to tackle global warming to US $300 billion annually by 2035. COP30 also reaffirmed the commitment of civil society, businesses, local elected officials and investors to accelerate the fight against climate change, develop large-scale solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and address the impact of global warming. The agreement also carries forward a broader goal of boosting the total of US $1.3 trillion annually from all sources, including private investments. This was also a goal from the COP30 to involve more private investors. So this is where equity concerns enter, so between developed and developing countries, with the historical responsibility of developed countries and the capacity to act, and also the intergenerational fairness. So which governance mechanism can ensure this fairness? So here we have mainly two aspects. That is, one aspect is a common but differentiated responsibilities, the CBDR. The Paris Agreement is supposed to be implemented according to the principle of common but differentiated responsibility as established in Article 2, Paragraph 2 of the Paris Agreement. I cited, this agreement will be implemented to reflect equity, but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities in the light of different national circumstances. So that means that all the capacity of the country is taken in account to determine the responsibility. The quotas for the reduction of CO2 emissions are not fixed by this treaty, but are nationally determined in the light of the possibilities of the country. And the developed countries have to support financially the developing countries in the meaning of Article 9 Paris Agreement. So, and the other point was loss and damage. And there I would like to present a case from Europe that was also very recently in Europe, in Germany. So the rules concerning loss and damages are in Article 8 of the Paris Agreement. And maybe you heard already about this very famous litigation. It is a case of Luciano Liulia versus RWE AG in Germany. The case was a Peruvian farmer sued the most significant German energy producer, the Rheinisch-Westfälisches Elektrizitätswerk, so RWE, for damages. RWE is the second largest CO2 emitter in Europe. But the company had no activity at all in Peru, and the farmer is in Peru. The farmer claimed that the German undertaking was nevertheless responsible for 0.04% of the climate mitigation, and that it is consequently liable for the same percentage of damages of this farmer in South America. So you see, we have a German company that is a large CO2 emitter, and we have a farmer in Peru, and between both we have probably 12,000 kilometers. But the farmer sued for the assumption of 0.47% of the costs he needed for the protection measures, about 70,000 euros. So the amount was not so important, but it was a question of principle. According to an expert opinion, there is the share of human-made greenhouse gas emissions for which RWE has been responsible since the beginning of industrialization. The problem here was not the concrete actual imminent injury, but the question of causality. After the general conditio sine qua non formula, the causality is not given if you can't remove the relevant fact without removing the damage. In this case, it means that if the RWE didn't produce energy in Germany, the farmer wouldn't have this damage. Of course, this causality does not work in this case. If we remain in our causality theories, never responsibility couldn't be established in these cases. The applicants had lost the case in the first instance. Whereas in the second instance, the German judge ordered the hearings of evidence for the question of causality. This was already a success for the plaintiff because for the first time such a causal connection was declared to be legally relevant. And in this case, a group of German judges traveled to Peru to see the injury of this farmer, and they admitted that there is a kind of causality, even if it's not a very closed one, but the causality was admitted. In the second instance, the higher regional court made legal history by the decision of 28 May 2025, so already in this year. In its ruling of the civil case against RWE, the judges stated that large emitters can be held responsible for the consequences of climate change under German civil law. The court decision, which at the first glance sounds like a defeat because the lawsuit was dismissed, is in fact a historical landmark ruling that can be involved by affected party in many places around the world. So, as other countries have similar legal provisions, the implications of this ruling extend far beyond Germany, such as the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, the United States, and Japan have a very similar legal requirements. So this case that seems be a local case, but is in reality is a case that is very important for the whole world. And it shows also the shifting from national responsibilities to private responsibilities by private law enforcement. And for me, this is very important because private companies has a whole benefits from industrialization, from global commons and so on. So they have also to pay accordingly to their benefits to this part of climate change. So I will stop here. It was just to present you some, one recent case from Europe. And I hope you, you can understand this reasoning. Thank you very much, and thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful and inspiring address. Now, with great honor, I would like to invite Professor Dr. V. Balaji, sir, Dean and Head of the Department of Maritime Law in the Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. Sir is an eminent personality who have an experience of more than 19 years in the field of teaching, research, administrative experience. Sir has produced 7 PhD scholars in law and interdisciplinary. Sir was nominated as Project Director in Charge for Chair on Consumer Law and Jurisprudence, funded and established by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. Sir has authored a book on police and human rights and published 10 research articles in various legal journals on the subjects human rights, international armed conflicts, women rights, child rights, self determination, environmental law, media ethics, etc. With great pleasure, I invite you, sir, to deliver the presidential address for this event. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Ma. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Professor Stefan, Professor Stefan from Paris University, who spoke before, respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, respected faculty members, the organizing committee, Professor K.C. Sarni, and the director, and the convener, member Dakshina Saraswati, and my dear students, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to deliver the presidential address on this crucial and evolving aspect, the common heritage of mankind, the global challenges. I hope the conference discussions have illuminated not only the complexities of governing our shared global commons, but also the pressing need of the renewed legal, scientific, and diplomatic engagement. The very basic principle of the common heritage of mankind stands on the premise as a beacon of hope in the era of increasing competitions for resources. It asserts that certain domains, those lying beyond the sovereign control of any single nation, belong to all humanity equally. And particularly two things, as we know from international law, that the oceans beyond national jurisdiction and the deep seabed and Antarctica, and the other one is the vast expanse of outer space. Now, this principle compels us to adopt a framework that is equitable, sustainable, and future-oriented, one that ensures resources are not monopolized by a few, but shared fairly among all nations. Now, before we proceed into the issue, let me also make it very clear. I used to tell my students about this issue. The common heritage of mankind, of course, it's the principle that take us of the global commons, that how the things has to be shared. Now, at the same time, nobody can neglect those issues that what is happening in the environment. The environment, I include the outer space as well as the sea and the seabed, ocean bed. There was a situation or the time where in which some of the countries have neglected that whatever happens in the other places, they might not bother, and uh, they would not enforce certain things, or they won't come to that the cooperation, saying that somewhere something is happening and what is the problem for us. Those things have been totally changed in the scenario of environment, because in the issue of environment, whatever the issue that is happened or the destruction that happens to the environment affects almost all the countries, or what happens in one place will affect the other place, who doesn't know that what has happened in the other place. Say, for example, the oil spill, what is happening in one ocean might cross into another ocean. So nobody can simply look by saying that that is happening only there and that is not my problem. So this is the underlying the premise once again. And of course, the common heritage of mankind is the resources shall be equally distributed and not be monopolized. In the same way, that is also equally good, because the resources has to be intact, and that is for future generations to should also enjoy those things. So I have taken this thing to address two things. One is on the maritime law, that is the oceans, the challenges, and also the outer space and challenges, and I have made a certain few uh, points where I could highlight what is the problems, the emerging challenges, and finally I can suggest few solutions in this regard. Now, with respect to the oceans, where beyond the issues, uh, there are additional global challenges affecting the ocean governance. One of the important thing is the technological exploitation of the high seas. Now, wherein which you can include the autonomous vessels, the AI-based fishing fleets, and underwater robotics raise questions that what kind of regulation they are coming in, and what is the liability, what is the safety, what is the environmental accountability. So those things are really challenging one, and we need to address those issues. And whatever the agreement, as Madam Stephanie has also been pointing out, the treaty, the agreement, and other things are there. But what about the enforceability? Now, this logically uh, comes down to another issue, the technological exploitation of the high seas, where you can see the threat to marine genetic resources. For example, the marine organisms with pharmaceutical or commercial potential are increasingly being patented, leading to debates over the benefit sharing under the Biodiversity Beyond the National Jurisdiction Agreement, BBNJ. The other aspect that what we have noticed is the challenges is unregulated tourism, very specifically to the fragile marine zones, the coastal tourism, cruise ships, and recreational sports contribute to coral bleaching, pollution, and disturbance to the marine biodiversity. And of course, these are all the on one part the transnational maritime crimes also being there, and which does not have a direct connection with this the environmental aspect. But however, the these are all the connected factors where the piracy, trafficking of humans, weapons, narcotics, cyber attacks, and so on. And very particularly, the research has also been brought in another issue in the ocean, where they have found out that there is a declining health of coastal communities, where it begins with the coastal erosion, loss of livelihoods of fisherfolk, the displacement of the indigenous coastal population due to industrialization and the climate change. Now, these all I put on one place where I can see these are all the challenges that what we are facing today in the ocean, in the ocean front, I think it's a. On the other side, it's outer space. There is also additional challenges in the new space age. The outer space, which was once dominated by a handful of nations, is today witnessing a rapid expansion across sections. And this brings new and complex challenges, such as dominance of mega constellations, where these constellations are nothing but the satellites which are being positioned, where the large networks of satellites pose risk of collision, cluttering of orbit paths, and interference with astronomy and global communications. Of course, there are treaties and agreement where there is a lack of binding resource governance framework. We can also see that while private companies prepare for lunar and asteroid mining, clear global norms on extraction, beneficiary, and environmental protection remains inadequate. Then another issue is about the outer space, is about the space weather vulnerabilities, where the solar storm, geomagnetic activity, and cosmic radiations can disrupt satellites, navigation systems, and the global power grids. And the next aspect is about the inequitable access to outer space, where the developing nations face financial and technological barriers, risking exclusion from the benefit of satellite communication, navigation, and the scientific exploration. Where the dual-use technologies, these are technologies developed for peaceful purpose, can easily be repurposed for militarization, raising concerns of a space arms race. Friends, these are all the challenges that were what we can see, and what is the proper solution. Now, as I told you that the growing challenges in both the oceans and the outer space, we must definitely should move from awareness to action. The action-oriented one, or the what I can say, the enforcement action should be done. In a case of that ocean governance, we should strengthen the international legal framework treaties by expediting the implementation of the BBNJ, and biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction. It's also called as a High Seas Treaty, to regulate biodiversity, resource sharing, and conservation. An UNCLOS has to be reformed, where dispute resolution mechanism to handle new forms of resource conflict. And another suggestion, what I can say, is establishing a global ocean data sharing network, which can enhance the data integration among coastal nations for a real-time update on illegal fishing, pollution, and maritime security threats. Excuse me. The other one is the promoting sustainable fisheries through technology, that by using the satellite tracking, AI-based vessel monitoring, and the blockchain systems to ensure transparent and sustainable fish supply chains. And there can be creating marine protected areas which can be expanded to cover the ecological sensitive zones and enforcing no extraction zones in the deep sea areas. And finally, on the ocean front, I can say that strengthening the coastal resilience programs, where engineering coastal protection structures can be made, supporting community-based marine conservation is possible, and implementing early warning system for climate-related disasters. And when you come to the outer space governance, I can suggest a few things. One is establishing a global framework for space resource governance, developing a binding international regime under the United Nations, the treaty to regulate lunar and asteroid mining and ensure fair benefit sharing for developed nations, and creating a space for traffic management system to coordinate global tracking of satellites and debris, clear rules for pollution avoidance and end of life disposal. And mitigating space debris is another important factor, where mandatory deorbiting plans for the satellites has to be made. To that extent, incentivizing debris removal technologies such as robotic collectors and drag sails can also be used. The militarization has to be prevented in the outer space, where we have to strengthen the outer space treaty principles and negotiating in the new treaties to prohibit weaponization in the outer space. And enabling inclusive access to space, where the capacity building can be made for developing nations, affordable launch initiatives can be made, and collaborative satellite sharing program can be done. And for a unified vision for the future, the challenges of the oceans and outer space remind us that the global commons and the demand global solutions. They cannot be governed through narrow national interest or unilateral actions. Instead, they require international solidarity, multilateral cooperation, ethical decision making, innovative legal framework, active scientific collaboration. So the principle of common heritage of mankind urges us to look beyond our immediate political boundaries and work for a sustainable, peaceful, and equitable future. Now, to conclude, let us carry forward the insight, ideas, and inspiration that what we gained from today's the conference. Let us commit ourselves to ensuring that the oceans beneath us and the skies above us remain protected, preserved, and peacefully used for the benefit of all humanity. Therefore, I extend my sincere gratitude to all the scholars, the speakers, the organizers, and the participants who have contributed to the success of this event. Your passion and dedication strengthen the foundation of the global dialogue and cooperative problem solving. May our collective efforts ensure that the global commons, whether on Earth or beyond, remain a true common heritage of mankind, safeguarded for all nations and for all generations. Thanking you and wishing every one of you for your continued success and a future shaped by wisdom, empathy, and the global responsibility. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Now, to formally conclude this session, I take the privilege of inviting Ms. Arya S. Nair, ma'am, Assistant Professor, the Kerala Law Academy Law College. Ma'am has always been a source of guidance and inspiration to her students, and we are privileged to have you with us today, ma'am, to deliver the vote of thanks for this valedictory session. Ma'am, please.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Professor Stephanie Roffling-Diosman, University Paris, West Nanterre, France. Professor Dr. V. Balaji Sir, Dean and HOD, Department of Maritime Law, Tamil Nadu. Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Chennai. Advocate Nagaraj Narayan Sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College. Professor Anil Kumar K. Sir, Director of Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, Kerala Law Academy Law College. Esteemed guests, participants and faculty members. It is my profound honor on behalf of the Kerala Law Academy Law College to extend our heartfelt gratitude as we conclude the valedictory session of the 27th Virtual International Seminar on the Principles of Common Heritage of Mankind in International Law, Evolving Dimensions and Global Challenges. Your gracious presence and thoughtful engagement have added immense value to this occasion and set an inspiring tone for the days ahead. First and foremost, we express our deepest gratitude to Professor Stephanie Ma'am for gracing this valedictory session with Ma'am's esteemed presence and for delivering an insightful and thought-provoking valedictory address. Ma'am's profound scholarship, global perspective, and intellectual contribution have greatly enriched this seminar and inspired all the participants. Thank you so much, ma'am. We also express our sincere gratitude to Professor Dr. V. Balaji Sir for the gracious presence and for presiding over the valedictory session. Sir's distinguished academic career, leadership in legal education, and valuable insight have added immense dignity and depth to this program. We extend our sincere gratitude to Aparna Ma'am for the warm and motivating welcome address. Ma'am's words beautifully set the tone for today's seminar, reflecting dedication to fostering academic excellence, encouraging intellectual curiosity, and inspiring students to engage meaningfully in the pursuit of knowledge. And I extend our sincere thanks to Advocate Nagaraj Narayan Sir, Director of Kerala Law Academy, for your vision, guidance, and unfailing support, which continue to strengthen every endeavor of this institution. Our special thanks also goes to Professor Anil Kumar K. Sir, Director, Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, for your commitment to students and faculty welfare and for encouraging initiatives like this. We are also grateful to Professor Harindran K. Sir, Principal, Professor Anil Kumar G. Sir, Vice Principal, Professor Dr. Ajita Nair L. Ma'am, Head of Department, and to Dr. Dakshina Saraswati Ma'am, Associate Professor and General Secretary of KLA Moot Court Society for their steadfast guidance, support and encouragement, which continue to uphold the academic standards and legacy of Kerala Law Academy Law College. We would also like to extend our heartfelt appreciation to our faculty conveners, Ms. K. Kavya Mohan Ma'am, Chinnu Ma'am, Gayatri Devi Ma'am, whose guidance, dedication and meticulous effort were instrumental in organizing this seminar seamlessly. Their constant support and academic insight ensured the smooth conduct of every session and facilitated meaningful intellectual engagement for all the participants. Equally, we are grateful to our student conveners, Arya S., Nandana Biju, Irene L. Sacharian, Anandulal S.K., Aishwarya Tulasi, Anandan R., Nichidatan, and Jyoti S., whose enthusiasm, hard work, and commitment behind the scenes played a crucial role in making this seminar a success. Their coordination, technical assistance, and proactive involvement helped to create a welcoming and well-organized environment, enabling a rewarding and enriching experience for everyone present. We are equally thankful to our technical team and the organizing team whose teamwork and meticulous planning made today's event possible. Last but not the least, I extend my sincere thanks to all the participants and attendees. Your presence and active engagement has given true meaning to this seminar and made it a memorable success. With these words, I once again thank everyone who contributed to the success of today's event. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am, for your thoughtful words and for gracefully bringing this session to a close. I also take this opportunity to extend my gratitude towards you as well, ma'am. Great achievements are born from small efforts repeated every day.
That's exactly what took place in today's virtual dais, where we have accomplished another outstanding step towards grasping the dynamics of the principles of common heritage of mankind. With this, we conclude our 27th International Seminar on the Principles of Common Heritage of Mankind in International Law, Evolving Dimensions and Global Challenges. And now, I would like to convey our deep appreciation to Advocate Nagaraj Narayan Sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College, and Professor Anil Kumar K. Sir, Director, Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, for this fantastic opportunity and his never-ending support throughout this journey.
I would also like to extend our heartfelt gratitude towards Professor Harindran K. Sir, Principal, Kerala Law Academy Law College, Professor Anil Kumar G. Sir, Vice Principal, Kerala Law Academy Law College, Professor Dr. Ajita Nair L. Ma'am, Head of the Department, Kerala Law Academy Law College, and Dr. Dakshina Saraswati Ma'am, Associate Professor and General Secretary, KLA Moot Court Society, for their never-ending support. None of this would have been achievable without the generous backing and guidance of people working behind the scenes. Your collective commitment and hard work transformed this international seminar into a successful and enlightening session. With that, this is Alakananda and Amrita signing off. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
Before we drop the curtain for this resplendent event, I request all of you to join us for the national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.